Hey, what's up? So, there's a fresh patch out for Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, update 1.5.0, and it's one of those updates where the devs clearly focused on making the game feel more dependable and polished, rather than piling on gimmicks. The headline change is the expansion and rework of Endless Survival. Instead of having a single muddled save slot and quirky behavior, Endless now has separate, dedicated variants. Endless Day, Night, Fog, Roof, and Cloudy Day, each with its own slot and subtle rule handling differences. That might sound small on paper, but it actually changes how players approach long runs because your progress is now compartmentalized. You can grind a marathon run on one map without risking it on another, and the mental overhead of juggling different endless modes is significantly reduced. More importantly, the patch irons out a nasty stability issue that used to cut off runs mid-marathon. Long, endless sessions that would previously crash or corrupt progress have been targeted with fixes aimed specifically at endurance play. That means those legendary records people were hesitant to chase because of reliability concerns feel suddenly within reach again. Under the hood, a lot of the changes are quality of life and input polish, not the flashy content drops streamers tend to scream about. But these are the kinds of fixes that change daily player experience. Controller support and input handling got attention. Disconnects that used to freeze menus or produce awkward states have been corrected, and a handful of hotkey and planting preview behaviors have been smoothed. If you play with a controller or swap between controller and mouse, this reduces those little flow-stopping hiccups that used to break momentum during clutch waves. Visual and audio niggles were also addressed. Music timing quirks, animation misfires, shadow rendering oddities, and a handful of character model appearance issues were patched up. The result feels like a more consistent presentation. Sound cues line up better with on-screen events, and visual feedback is less likely to lie to you when you need split-second decisions. Mechanically, the update doesn't rearrange the meta, but it does nudge how players plan for marathon strategies. With endless variants separated and saves preserved or migrated into the new slots, players who want to optimize for specific map constraints like fog-limited vision or rooftop placement can treat each variant as its own challenge ladder. That subtly encourages specialization. You might see more players optimizing narrow strategies tailored to cloudy day hazards, or refining late-game economy on endless pool equivalents that used to be muddled into a single slot. It also affects community records and the comparability of runs, because save integrity and crash resistance mean leaders' runs will likely be less contested by claims of, "I lost progress" or "my save glitched." From a development philosophy standpoint, this patch reads like an investment in the core loop. The team focused on reproducibility and player trust. If players can reliably complete long runs without technical interruptions, the perceived value of the endless mode rises exponentially. That's also important for content creators and communities who archive impressive runs. Reliable saves mean more shareable, watchable content that isn't marred by technical setbacks. And while there's no huge balance overhaul here, the audio-visual fidelity improvements make it easier to read the game quickly, which indirectly benefits higher-level play. When animations and shadows behave predictably, you waste fewer cognitive cycles on deciphering whether a planted entity registered or an audio cue fired correctly. There are also a number of subtle bug fixes that, cumulatively, reduce friction. Tiny things like plant preview correctness, sun vacuum behavior, and some interaction edge cases were adjusted. These are the micro-interactions that create or break muscle memory. When those are fixed, the game simply feels more responsive, and that fosters player confidence to try riskier strategies late into an endless run. You'll notice fewer moments where you think you planted, but the game disagrees, or where controller toggles go haywire during an intense wave. That reliability is why players returning to the game after a hiatus might feel pleasantly surprised. The experience is the same game they loved, but less annoyed. Community impact is worth pondering. Patches like this often shift conversation away from, "Is the game playable?" to, "What new strategies can we explore now that stability is solved?"